So, you're a fantastic mom. You want to do the best for your kids. You just want them to listen well so that you don't have to yell. But then, the more they are not listening, they are not respecting the boundaries, then the red mist comes and you start yelling so much so that you can see the scared faces in front of you. And you're so ashamed and horrified that you're traumatizing your kids. What do you do then? What do you do if the parenting techniques you tried, they don't work? You buy some parenting books, you read the first 2-3 pages, that doesn't work, and then you're afraid other people are going to judge you if they have a tantrum in the middle of the shopping mall. What do you do then? Well, this is exactly a story of Charlene, one of the Zen Supermoms me and my team worked with in the last 3 months. And this is her sharing how she, as a mom of 2 kids, not having enough time, not having enough support, having had a happy childhood herself, there was basically nothing wrong with her, nothing wrong with her kids. She was just going through a lot of stress, and just like her mom was telling her, that's okay, you're just tired, so you yell, that's fine, that's not a problem. Well, it was a problem for her, and she wanted to get help with that. But where do you go to get help? So what is it that she specifically did? Come with me and listen to her story. This is Charlene. Hi, Charlene. Thank you so much for having the courage to speak up and share your story.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning, please, because I always want the moms who will be watching or listening, I want them to know, like, what are the similarities with their story, maybe. So if you could start at the beginning, like, how many kids,
Yeah,
roughly how old are they, and what was the biggest challenge? Like, why did you even think, like, oh, I need some help?
sure. Yeah, I have 2 daughters. So my oldest daughter is 3.5, and my youngest daughter is now 5 months old. So she was about a month old whenever I decided that I really wanted to do something. I think my issues started when I became a parent. So I'm a very kind, gentle person, and this these sort of outbursts of shouting came out of nowhere. So I think my daughter, if I can recall, was only maybe 2 or 3 months old. And I remember this red mist coming across me one night or one evening, and I shouted at my baby. And I remember being utterly horrified at myself. Like, how could you shout at a defenseless baby? But I had no control over it. And my husband was very good at sort of saying, Charlene, what are you doing? And obviously I would never hurt her ever, but it was just this verbal outburst. I had to get the energy out of me or something. Only ever happened every now and then. I couldn't have really predicted it. It was always when I was tired, I suppose, which is hard when you've got a baby. And then just as my daughter, I suppose, got older, and then you get new challenges, like especially her big feelings. So when her emotions started coming out, I certainly noticed that mine were starting to spill out as well. And there was one day whenever my oldest had a bit of a tantrum. And I remember I was heavily pregnant and I was exhausted, and I felt the red mist building, and then she was squealing and then I squealed at her. And I remember the look of fear in her eye, and I thought, what am I doing? Like, I'm nearly 40 years old and I can't control my emotions. How can I expect a 3-year old to do that? And I think that was really when I thought, I must do something about this. I know it's not that often people say to me, oh, you're human, and we shout, we're tired. But I knew that there had to be some other way to it. And I'd tried things before. So, whenever I caught myself on, I would say, take a big breath and really think about it before you open your mouth. But it didn't work. The red mist always built. It was always just, I couldn't control whenever it came on.
Yeah.
Uh, and
And
that's,
thank you so much for sharing that. I would just say, like, let's take a breath, because for any moms listening there, it is indeed totally human.
yeah,
And there's zero judgment here. And in this podcast in general, zero judgment. Yes, I'm very direct sometimes in my messaging. We are very open. And thank you so much, Charlene, for talking about it as it was. It's like sounds exactly like me in so many ways. And I had one kid. I didn't even have an excuse of the pregnancy. But this is why I talk about it so openly, and I appreciate you talking about specific examples, because this is such a big taboo. There are so many moms who are still so ashamed of even mentioning that. So I really appreciate you for being like so brave in
Awful.
telling it as it was.
Yeah.
And for any moms who are listening to us, we are doing it because we want you to know you're not alone. And this is unfortunately very normal. And exactly as Charlene said, that doesn't make it okay in a way. And that's why we are here to talk about what needs to happen to heal it, to get rid of it, and to be able to stay calm and be the role model for our kids, indeed. Because we cannot expect our toddlers to have more emotional maturity and control than what we can have as 30, 40 years old, right? So perfect, Charlene. Yeah, thank you. And I interrupted you there. You wanted to add something else?
No, it's just I felt a lot of shame, and I remember looking up things like mum rage, and I thought, yeah, I think I understand that, but equally, it's just this shame attached to it, and then you are scared to speak to someone about it because you think, but I know, as I say, I know it's just shouting, but it is harmful. Shouting is harmful.
Unfortunately, yeah, yeah. And it might be the only way how to get kids' attention,
That's
how
it.
to get them to listen, but we are going to pay price for it in the long term, indeed. Yeah. Okay. So what is it you were mentioning that you tried? So you tried Googling mom rage, you tried taking breaths, but then eventually that red mist would come anyways. So did you try like any specific parenting techniques or courses or like reading books or anything? Because I'm asking because there's so many moms who are trying so many different things.
Yeah, I didn't. I bought multiple books, but I never read them. I would maybe start one or two pages, and then I would just get waylaid, and everything I Googled was all very much trying to use grounding techniques and things like that there, but I didn't really know how to do that, and I didn't really know where to start in order to try and help myself. And as I say, every time I thought, right, I'll try better. I'll try better next time. It didn't work.
I just had an assessment call with mom who said she's a psychologist and she said, "Well, I've been meaning to reach out to you for months and I always thought to myself, I'll just make it. I'll just manage by myself. I'll just try harder."
Yeah,
And months went by
that's
and her kids growing up and things getting worse. So yeah, I'm there with you. Yeah, totally
and
normal.
when I had my second daughter, then I remember she was maybe what a few weeks old. I remember looking at her thinking, I will not be shouting at you. Like I need to do something, because I could feel it. Maybe not. I wasn't ever there with my youngest daughter yet, but I knew it was going to come in there. One with the tiredness and with the toddler who was obviously finding it very hard having to share mummy. I thought I know where this is going, and I thought, I'm going to do something about this.
Very good. So let's talk about the breaking point. So what is it that made you reach out to me? Because I'm not a parenting expert. I'm not promising any parenting script, and I make it very direct and it's uncomfortable, but I make mom see like it's you, mom. So what actually made you feel like, okay, even though this lady is a little bit crazy, but maybe this is the thing that I need. Like what was it?
You're not crazy at all. I think it was your wee advertisement. You said about I became my child's first bully. And I remember thinking the day that I seen her fear in her eyes, I thought, I am a bully. This is awful. Like, this is the one thing I would not want is someone to shout at my daughter. And yet here I am being a bully to her. That for me was very much, I'm going to try it. And then whenever I listened to you and I was listening to your sort of explanation, for example, where you were explaining where yours had come from, I sort of thought, oh, I understand that. And then I really understood the rationale as to what you were saying as well about the mental health fitness. So I just thought that's really interesting.
So this is exactly where I would want to go next with you is to check in because this is one of the first things that I'm already doing in that assessment call is to help people connect the dots because this is not even about your kids fixing them. This is not even about fixing you and your stress management or anger management in that moment. It really goes years back. So to the level you're comfortable sharing about your childhood, what did you find out? Where was this uncontrollable red mist coming from in your childhood?
Yeah, I think this was one of the big barriers initially for me joining the course was because I did not think that I have generational trauma. I find that very hard to believe, because I had a wonderful childhood. I had two amazing parents, and I couldn't say a bad word about them. So I found that hard. And I remember whenever I spoke to you and you sort of said, there is something in there, and I really think you would benefit this program. And that's when I thought, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to try it. And obviously, through working with Christine, I have unlocked a few wee things. And I think it's just in response to, I suppose my mum would say things like, you're tired, you're snapping because you're tired. I would have done the same when you were small. And I think that then came from obviously down through the generations, different family members. That's how you're brought up. You're tired, you shout. But
Yeah, the shouting was like a normal response to being tired.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. My parents said they were so loving and so kind. We didn't have much money, but they made sure we had everything we wanted. So I just found that wee bit hard to accept that there may be some wee bit of generational trauma in there. And certainly working with Christine, I was able to tease out some wee things and work on them. And
Yeah.
some very small things, but they obviously had a big impact on me as a child.
And again, to the level you're comfortable sharing, and I'm curious here
Yeah,
because I hear it often. Like I often meet moms who are telling me I had a happy child, just like I had.
yeah.
I've nothing wrong against my parents. I would like to be just a tiny bit more specific. So, how did you feel about yourself growing up? So, were you the good girl or were you told that you're too much? Like, what did you need to do to please your parents? What were the trauma coping mechanisms that you developed as a kid, like
Yeah.
to get their conditional love that were then killing you later on as a mom? Or AKA your saboteurs, as we were talking about it in the course, in the program?
When I think about me as a kid, I think about, I was a really easy kid. I was so easy for my parents. I just was, anything they said I did. I didn't give them any sort of back talk. I would have just done it. And when I think back to it, I think, well, then why was I so easy? But maybe my parents wouldn't think that. But it's just more that I think I developed the people pleasers back then. So being the oldest child as well, I think I took on a lot of responsibilities, which were never put on me specifically, but I obviously must have taken them on
You
myself.
were rewarded for doing it. So you felt the difference, how your parents treated you if you did, if you
Yeah.
stepped up and put others first and tried to do something before they even asked you. Yeah, that's classic. Yeah.
And the perfectionism as well. So, for example, I knew that if I was really good and helped my mum clean the house, or if she was to come in and the house was clean, I knew that everyone was in a better mood. I knew that life was a wee bit more nice for everyone. Um, so that I definitely think the people pleaser and the perfectionism traits all started in around there. And then as I got older and then especially in school I was a very high achiever, so then obviously then everyone was very like, oh wow, that's amazing, and then that was feeding into this want to be perfect, want to do the best, and
Yeah.
get into my type A personality as well.
Yeah. And this is just a clarification for anybody who's listening and who's wondering. Those are all strengths, what Charlene is beautifully describing here and sharing in her childhood. Having high ambition, having the drive, like to do things well, being empathetic and caring, nurturing, taking care of others, those are all strengths. The problem is, if that was the condition for your parents or teachers to give you the praise,
Mm-hmm.
aka if the love they gave you was conditional, then you learned that it's good to overuse. Whenever you're feeling not good enough, whenever you're feeling at risk, not safe, then you will overuse, will go overboard by overusing your strength just so that you keep yourself safe and good enough. So then let's skip all the way to you being a mom of one and then two, Charlene. How did these strengths abused by your childhood trauma of not being loved unconditionally, how did that screw you over as a mom? How did it show up?
Yeah, so as you say, they were strengths and they were serving me purpose until they stopped serving me purpose. So the perfectionism thing, like I just wanted, like when I got up in the morning time, I had a wee routine of what I wanted done. And it was silly because I was looking to create this perfect clean house. And the thing that really struck me with your course is the idea that perfectionism is an illusion, something I created. And it was. I don't know what I was pushing for. But it made me things like, I wanted the house to be a certain way, I wanted to ensure that you want to ensure that your kids behave a certain way, that they reflect you. And I definitely think the people pleasing thing as well. And I was getting to the stage where I felt like I was given to everybody. And I was becoming so focused on everybody else that I forgot about me. And I
And
was,
then you were resentful. How come I'm giving you so much and there's nothing, or you're doing so little for me? You're not even listening. You're not even respectful for me. That's not fair. Yeah.
and that certainly during my pregnancy, I found the victim saboteur was coming into my, and I definitely, the big thing I hate being people feeling sorry for me. I hate that. So the fact that this victim was in my head made me feel victimized. I was thinking, I'm not a victim, but it was constantly there, made me think, oh, poor you, and that wasn't me.
Yeah, that was a part of you that needed to be heard and healed and yeah, through the exercises. Very good. Thank you so much, Charlene. These are amazing examples. I'm curious now,
Mm-hmm.
3 months later, 4 months later, because yeah, that's what we are speaking 3, 4 months later. Oh my goodness. Give me some specific example. I would love it. Like, how is it different? So before, like struggling with the kids, because now even like the other one is not a newborn anymore, so you have even more like pressure on you and like running after two kids now. So how is it different now? What is different now about your kids? What is the impact on your kids?
Oh, I'm a different person altogether. Like I already was calm, but I'm way calm, zen. They feel it. So they're just really happy kids. And my oldest girl always was a really happy child, but she definitely knows that I'm more present. Like when I play with her, I'm there. Whereas before I was there, but I wasn't really sometimes. Whereas I can really connect with my inner child now. And I think, well, what would myself, a 3-year-old, what would I want to do? How do I want to play? And then our playing is really up to level. It's really become so much more fun, and I really enjoy it too. Juggling the two has not been as big an issue either. Had I not done the course, I think I would really have been struggling, but I just feel like a different person.
And I'm curious with the people pleaser, what usually happens is because moms who have a people pleaser is because they were kids who were forced into being the obedient, watching their parents' emotions, predicting, like trying to anticipate and make the parent happy just so that the home is calmer and less chaotic, more in order. So, but then they do the same kind of to their kids. That's the generationality aspect of
Yeah.
it, that they are forcing their kids
Mhm.
to be like the obedient and not having big emotions. So, how is your daughter in terms of expressing her emotions? Because sometimes parents like complain, my kid is strong will or they are having tantrums. And I'm actually telling them, well, that's good they are. It means they feel safe around you to show their emotions. You did not squish them to be the good girl. So, how is your daughter doing there?
I definitely think there was probably like whenever I started doing it, I think her emotions were exploding a bit more actually. But I felt far more able to manage them, and she still has tantrums. Obviously, she's only 3.5, but we're able to manage them much better. I think they seem to settle much quicker. But she still has them, and she still feels safe to have them.
And
But
she should, yes.
every morning I sort of wake up and it's greeting her with a smile, and it's very much I missed you when you were sleeping last night, and just things like that there. But I just feel I don't want her to ever think that she's responsible for how I feel.
Yes, that's it. That's the point when you're breaking that generational trauma of people pleasing because you understand it's not your daughter's responsibility to make you happy. And something I noted down in your final consultation with me, like whatever it was 1 week, 2 weeks ago, was when you mentioned that she had a tantrum in the middle of the shopping center, and the first thought you had was, "This is brilliant." Like, yes, 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 that's my mom. That's exactly what we want. That you're not like, oh my goodness, people are going to judge me, or how dare you, you ungrateful little monster throwing a tantrum in the middle of the store. The first thought you said you had, and that's why I really even like wrote it down. Your thought was like, this is brilliant. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so good. So do you want to share more about that situation? Because for me, like this is the ultimate proof how far you've come and that you broke that people pleasing generational trauma.
Definitely. We've actually had another spectacular one after that too. But the big thing about it, that would be my worst nightmare. The thought of a public tantrum, a whole group of people watching your child like explode, and the fear. I always thought like people would think she's a terrible mum. I always thought my worth was in how she behaved and my worth as a parent. And I remember thinking, okay, here we go. I knew it was about to happen because I could sort of predict it. And I think old me would have stepped in and tried to stop it happening. But I know my job as a parent is not to stop the tantrums, it's trying to help her manage them. So I sort of thought this is exactly where it's going to go. It was over a toy that she had picked, and she threw it to the ground in the middle of the shopping centre and said she didn't want it. And there's a couple of things I could have just said to her, well, then we'll change it and I'll give you this here, or whatever. But I just thought, no, we have to work through this. So I just sort of said, look, I know you're really upset. I'm right beside you. I sat down beside a wee old man who was sort of horrified as to what was going on. I just let her know I was there, and I just let her. When she's first in that emotion, she doesn't like to be comforted. She really doesn't. It actually makes her worse. So I have to give her a wee bit of time. So I give her a few minutes, and then I approached her again, and I was able to get a hug out of her this time. And so after that, I said to her, "Look, you're allowed to change your mind. That's not a problem. It's just that there's a certain way we have to go about this." So I said to her, if you want, we can pick up the toy, we can bring it back to the shop, and you can tell the lady in the shop that you've changed your mind, and we can change it, and that's okay. So that's what we did. She picked it up, she walked back to the shop, she told the lady. We came out, and I gave her a big hug, and I said, I'm really proud of you. You did really well there. And I said, what have you learnt? And she said that you can change your mind. And I said, yeah. We don't need to, we don't need to have these, obviously these big feelings are here. We don't need to lose it. We can just say to each other, you can change your mind. And I remember there were people obviously looking at me and stuff, but I didn't care. We could have just been me and her in the room. Didn't care how many people was there. I was so proud.
Hallelujah. Angels are singing, coming from the clouds. This is amazing because this illustrates brilliantly exactly the point of healing the generational trauma. Because this is what happens to kids of parents who cannot handle their tantrums. The kids then do the tantrum just to get what they want. What you taught your daughter is that emotions are okay. It's okay to change your mind, and you need to take accountability. There are consequences. So then there's a process we need to go about it. And by you staying calm, you actually gave her the permission to learn so that she was actually open to understanding, okay, so that's how it works. So that the next time she wants something or changes her mind, she knows she doesn't have to start screaming and making tantrum. So this is how this work is actually preventative. So exactly as you said beautifully, your job is not to stop a tantrum that you can already see is building up, but we are preventing all of these tantrums by teaching the kids the healthy way how to communicate, how to get their needs met, while creating a safe container for them to feel loved unconditionally by us. We don't have to always agree with the behavior. Like, it's not fun for anybody for you to be screaming here, but I understand. Like, you're having right now, like, you want something you cannot have. Like, I understand. I'm not judging you for it. That's the energy. And that's why this is so beautiful. Congratulations. You can be so proud of yourself.
I was so proud. I really felt, I felt like a supermom. I really did. I just thought I've done really well there, and I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. And so this is very important distinction because so often people are telling me like, okay, but when you don't yell at the kids, so does it mean you're spoiling them? Are you giving them everything they want whenever they want it? Like, what's wrong with anger? And I tell them there's nothing wrong with anger. There's nothing even wrong with you feeling angry. What's wrong is with emotionally vomiting it over your kids and blaming them for your inability to manage your own anger. And so what Charlene just beautifully said she did, she kept her emotions in check so that she can be fully present, helping her daughter manage her emotions. And you showed her you feeling upset, totally okay. And so let's see what's the process? What are the next steps? Because the emotion is just the indication. You didn't like your choice, but this is how we go about it in a healthy way the next time. You showed her the healthy path. That's the entire point. So you're not raising a spoiled brat who can get whatever, whenever. You showed her boundaries and you guided her step by step through making her feel loved. I love this so much. I'm so happy. That's a beautiful example. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I just feel that the course has made me I feel empowered. Like I feel like previously I felt powerless during tantrums and things. I feel empowered. I feel like I know how to manage this. I know how to manage it really well. I also feel like I'm much more able to manage and keep safe love and boundaries. Whereas before I may have been more easy to try and stop it by giving into it. Whereas now I know how to hold a safe boundary, and she respects that actually.
And this is so important for you and your kids' future as well, because the situations will be changing. You'll be getting into new challenges. They will not be throwing tantrums in the middle of the store, but as they become teenagers, there'll be like social media and like also so many things and bullying at school. There will be so many new situations for you to navigate. But what you're proving right now, that your connection with your daughter is solid. You're teaching her how to express her emotions while keeping that trust between you, so that you know that whenever she's struggling with something, she will not feel judged. She will not feel afraid to come and talk to you about it. And you having exactly what you just described, that confidence, like, life, bring it on. Like, this is brilliant. Like, whatever comes, I can sort it out. Even though if it's new situation where I have no idea where it comes from, I will figure it out. You have that confidence in yourself. You feel empowered. You're not a victim of it anymore. So that's what I feel is the most important, that you created for yourself through this, like, it's really self-development journey.
Yeah.
because you are ready to fly. You don't need any more help.
Mhm.
You will just keep using the tools we gave you for the rest of your life. You'll be good.
That's it. And I said to you before, I was teaching her the PQ reps as well. And there was one day she got a wee bit upset. I can't remember what it was about, something simple. And she just started to become a bit upset. And so really quickly she said to me, I'm frustrated. And I said to her, okay, it's okay to be frustrated. Let me have a wee chat about it. And she spoke to me about what it was. So something to do with a handbag or something. And then we sat down and I said to her, let's do the wee thing that mummy does. And so I love the physical touch PQ rep. I teach her hot and cold hands. So she sat down, took a few big breaths, and we did hot and cold hands. And then she was fine. She was over it.
Yeah.
So,
And for anybody who doesn't know, like these are the exercises for like mental fitness, rewiring the brain, just stop listening to the trauma and start being present to the emotion and just be able to deal with the emotion. And it's easy enough even for kids to pick it up. Oh my goodness. Like what? The 3.5, 4-year-old can say like, I'm feeling frustrated and she knows what to do with it.
I know, I'm so proud of her.
Excellent. Beautiful. Charlene, thank you so much.
No
These
problem.
were really excellent examples of how you are breaking the generational trauma that you didn't even know you have a few months ago. And you're already seeing the impact on your
Yeah,
kid. And this is really, you can be so proud. And then even more so for sharing this story so openly, so beautifully with everybody, because I bet there are so many moms who are listening. This is exactly what they needed to hear today. So now your healing is not only having a ripple effect in your family, but also you're helping other moms like figure out some pieces, connect some dots in their brain as well. So thank you so much.
no bother.
Is there anything else like you wanted to mention today or any like final words you have for any moms listening? And I don't want you to sell the program or anything. I want like what is it that you would have wanted to hear or that would have helped you at the beginning? Like or anything goes right now, basically just leaving the final word for you.
Suppose I was sort of thinking to myself, I'm on maternity leave. Is this an expense that I should be, put out? But yes, 100%. I just thought to myself, I'm buying this for myself as a gift, and it has been the best gift. I am a different person. Like all my family have noticed, my husband has noticed. I'm just really zen, and like I can't wait to bring that into work as well. Actually, and to see how different I feel there because I've got a lot of issues with regards to a bit of I think there's a bit of trauma there from work as well. But I'm just so excited to see how I can apply that. But I'm just so thankful to you and to Christine because I've really enjoyed it. It's been very interesting, but it's given me everything that I was looking for. And I've never felt the red mist. I'm back.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much, Charlene.
Oh,
Let's stay in touch. I would love to have like a follow-up podcast episode in a year or two when your kids are bigger and you have more wins to share and more like challenging situations to detangle how you're navigating to it. Excellent work. Celebrate yourself well. Huh? Fantastic. And for all of you moms, see what you get out of this, what Easter eggs you unwrap throughout this conversation, and reach out if you need any help. Thank you so much, Charlene. And I will see you, everybody, in the next episode of the Zen Supermom Podcast. Bye.
You take care. Bye.